and welcome back to my class. You know that I am Halim Nisa, junior lecturer of Elizabeth High School and Junior College. So in today's class we are discussing about the chapter 8. The chapter name is Theories of Employment and Public Finance here. In this chapter first we will go with the classical theory of employment. Here the classical economics. In the first instant, it is described to know what is classical economics is. Here for this, the term classical economics refers to the body of economic doctrines which held their way from the latter half of the century to the earlier part of the 20th century here. So, the most important tenets of the classicism are personal liberty, private property, and freedom of private enterprise, that is the laissez-faire. And here the leading classical economists were Adam Smith from 1723 to 1790, T.R. Malthus from 1766 to 1834, David Ricardo from 1772 to 1823, J. Smith from 1806 to 1873, Alfred Marshall from 1842 to 1924, A.C. Pigou from 1877 to 1959. So after this, classical employment theory is there. So here the classical economics held the view in the capitalist economy there is always a stable equilibrium at the full employment level in the long run under the conditions of perfect competition. So here they considered the full employment and its general features and unemployment a rare phenomena. So here the classical economists to rule out any general unemployment in the long run. These views are broadly known as the classical theory of output, income and employment. So after this now we will see about the assumptions. Here in classical theory of employment including some assumptions, and they are: there is a free enterprise economy, and there is a perfect competition in the economy, and all savings are automatically invested, and the interest rate is flexible here, and the wages rate is also flexible, and there are no limits to the expansion of market, and etc. are there in the assumptions. So after the assumptions, now we will see about the major aspects of the classical theory of employment. Here the major aspects of the classical theory of employment may be summarized as: there is no general overproduction and general unemployment, and there is no need for the interference by the government, and here the flexibility interest rate keeps saving and investment is equilibrium, and then here the flexible wage rate brings about the equilibrium in the labor market, etc. are the major aspects of the classical theory of employment here. After this, now we will see about the limitations of the classical theory, then the criticism by the Keynes here. So here the classical theory of the employment come in for serve the criticism from the J.M. Keynes, and here the main points of this criticism are like: the assumptions of the full employment is unrealistic, and it has the rare phenomena and not a normal feature, and equilibrium between the savings and the investment is not brought out by the flexible rate of the interest, but in fact here the saving is a function of income and not of interest. Get it here? And here the long run approach to the problem of the unemployment is also not a realistic. Here the Keynes committed that we are already in the long run. Okay, so he considered the unemployment as a short-run problem and offered the immediate solutions through his employment theory, and etc. are the limitations for this theory. Now here the Keynesian theory of income and employment. Now we will discuss about this. Here in the classical employment theory assume that there is always a full employment in the economy. So here it considered the full economy as a general situation in the long run. But here the famous British economists of the 20th century rejected this proposition and argued that the full employment is only a special case, and in general there is always a less than the full employment equilibrium is in economy. Exactly. So here he considered the full employment as a rare phenomena, and he started his phenomena theory in his famous book named as the General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money. So here this published in 1936. So his theory is known as the Keynesian theory of employment, and he called his theory a general theory because it deals with all the levels of the employment. So here the Keynes has taken a short term view as against the long term view taken by the classical economists, exactly here. So that here the Keynes explained that the lack of the sufficient, the total demand is the cause of the unemployment, exactly. So he used the term aggregate demand, aggregate supply and effective demand. So here the aggregate means the total. The term effective demand is used to denote that the level of aggregate demand which is equal to the aggregate supply. So here it is necessary to know that the meaning and the significance of these terms to understand the Keynes theory of employment. So we will discuss now. So first is aggregate supply. Here in general the term aggregate supply refers to the total supply of all commodities produced by all the entrepreneurs put together at a particular level of employment in an economy. So here the level of the aggregate supply depends on the level of employment, exactly. So here the entrepreneurs use the land and capital along with the labor to produce the commodities. All the factors of the production are paid for the services at the prevailing prices. So here the expenditure incurred by the entrepreneurs to pay the factors of production, that including the normal profits they expect for their services, which is called as the cost of production here. The economy they must receive from the scale of their outputs should be less than the total cost of the production. If they should continue to produce the same level of output, here the minimum amount that the entrepreneurs in the economy must obtain as a price of the total output, which is called as the aggregate supply price, that is ASP. Get it? So here as the level of a output increases with the level of a employment, the aggregate supply price also increase with every increase in the level of employment, exactly. Here the schedule showing the aggregate price at different levels of the employment is called aggregate supply function. So this can be explained with the help of this table and diagram of the aggregate supply price curves also. So see this table and curve. Now after that, now we will see about the aggregate demand here. Generally here the aggregate demand means the total demand for all the commodities in a country at a particular level of employment. So here the household receives their incomes in the form of rent, wages, interest and profit, and they spend such incomes on the purchases of consumption of goods as well as the capital goods, exactly. Here the amount they spend on the consumption goods is called the consumption expenditure, that is denoted by C, and their expenditures on capital goods is called investment, which is denoted by I. So here the entrepreneur expect that the commodity as a whole is willing to spend certain amounts toward the purchase of the total output. Here the expected expenditure is termed as aggregate demand price, that is ADP. Get it here? So this is the sum of the consumption of the expenditure and investment, that is AD is equal to C plus 1. So here as the level of the employment rises, the total income of the commodity also rises, and here therefore the aggregate demand price also increases, exactly. So the schedule showing that the aggregate demand price at a different levels of the employment in the economy is called the aggregate demand function. So this can be seen in this table and is also indicate that the aggregate demand price curves. So see this table and curves also. Now effective demand, that is ED. Effective demand is a point where the aggregate demand equals to the aggregate supply, that is AD is equal to AS. Here the every level of the aggregate demand cannot be called the effective demand. So here when aggregate demand is equal to the aggregate supply, the economy is in equilibrium. So see this table that it shows aggregate supply price, that is ASP, and aggregate demand price, that is ADP, at a different levels of employment, and they are not equal at every level of employment. So here the concept of effective demand is explained with the help of this diagram. So see this ED diagram. Now the major aspects of the Keynesian theory of income and employment. Here the major aspects of the Keynesian theory of income and employment may be summarized as: in the short run, total income of an economy depends on the volume of employment. and here the total employment depend on the total effective demand and in equilibrium, so that here the aggregate demand is equal to the aggregate supply exactly, and here the effective demand consists of consumption demand and investment demand. Here the consumption demand depends on the prosperity to consume, but in the short run it is relatively stable. So here the investment demand has a great role in the determining the level of the employment in the country. Get it here? By this we will stop here and continue this chapter by topic public finance in our next class. Thank you.